Welcome to yet another edition of the High School Football Roundup podcast on the Southwest Georgia Network, on Twitter at SWGA Network, and you can also follow live or listen live on YouTube by clicking the link below the description, the brief description on at the Southwest Georgia Network Twitter feed. And again, follow on Twitter at SWGA Network. Live on your live on your computer or on your mobile device, wherever you might be, either here in Albany or Southwest Georgia or anywhere else around the world. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And by just clicking the subscribe button, the rectangular button that says subscribe, and then click on the bell to get notifications on any content that may come your way or air on the Southwest Georgia Network, or that includes audio or video content. And so a lot of previous podcasts and videos are online on the Southwest Georgia Network YouTube channel. And so this is the High School Football Roundup podcast. I'm your host, Walter Johnson. And on this week's edition, of the High School Football Roundup podcast, we're talking a lot of things to talk about. The final week of the regular season, just around the corner, believe it or not. So at least in the GHSA, in the second round, you got the second round of the GISA playoffs underway this week as well. So lots of things to talk about there. So not a whole lot of time to waste. So I'm going to go ahead and get started right now. So not a whole lot of time to waste. So getting started. And a good place to start would be with the GHSA race, starting Region 1-6A. And you got the region championship there being decided on Friday night when Lee County hosts Coffee in the Battle of the Trojans up in Leesburg. And Lee County's had a week to prepare for Coffee after being knocked off in a 31-28 upset loss at Valdosta. And the defending Class 6A state champion Wildcats' stunning win over the Trojans from Leesburg knocked the Lee County from the ranks of the unbeaten. And Lee County sits at 8-1 overall and 2-1 in GHSA Region 1-6A. And Coffee sitting at 6-2 overall and undefeated in Region 1-6A at 3-0. And Coffee crushed Valdosta 37-14 last week. So it's just that simple between Coffee and Lee County, and the winner of that game is the region champion, and the loser could finish second and possibly even third or fourth place. And so beyond the Coffee Lee County game deciding the region champion and the subsequent number one seed in Region 1-6A, and then it's also this game, this Battle of the Trojans, or the Trojan Bowl, if you will also decide which teams host the first round playoff game. And Coffee will be the number 2 seed should it lose to Lee County. However, if Lee County loses to Coffee, the Trojans, the ones from Leesburg, will need Valdosta to lose to Houston County. And then that's what happens when a team like Valdosta knocks off a team that was previously undefeated, like Lee County. If Lee County loses to Coffee, then Valdosta would lose to Houston County. Valdosta would have to lose to Houston County in order to earn the right to host the first round home game the following week, which will be Friday, November 10th. And other than that, there will be a three-way tie for second place between Lee County, Valdosta, north side of Warner Robins, and north side of Warner Robins wrapped up its regular season last week with a 17-14 win over Houston County. Very close win. And Corey Munson, who forced overtime at Lee County just a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, on Friday the 13th, October the 13th, forced overtime owing to lose 16-13. And Lee County hit anyway, Corey Munson hit the field goal as time ran out to beat Houston County and putting their arch rivals, the Bears, on the brink of a possible elimination from playoff contention. So, and thanks to that 17-14 win over Houston County, north side of Warner Robins locked up a playoff berth. And moving on to the number 3, number 4 seeds in GHSA Region 16A. If Lee County wins or Valdosta loses, north side of Warner Robins will end up getting the number 3 seed, and will open the playoffs on the road. And that leads to Houston County and Valdosta. And north side of with the win over Houston County, north side of Warner Robins finished the regular season with 2 wins and 2 losses, an even record in Region 16A play and 7-3 overall. So north side of Warner Robins is done as far as the regular season is concerned. So that leaves this Friday's game on November 3rd between the Houston County Bears and the Valdosta Wildcats. And Valdosta comes in at 1-2 in GHSA Region 16A after the loss to Coffee, as well as at 3-6 overall. In Houston County is winless in region play 16A action at 0-3 and 2-7 overall. So it's just that simple between Houston County and Valdosta. The winner of that game advances to the playoffs. Game will be no worse than the number 4 seed, and the loser's season will come to an end. So, and the Houston County win over Valdosta will put the Bears in the playoffs, and the Valdosta Wildcats could go from being a state champion from last. So if Valdosta were to lose to Houston County, they would go from winning a state championship last year to not making the playoffs at all this year. That is, if they lose. If Valdosta wins, they're in the playoffs and will try to defend their state championship from last season. But if they lose, they'll be sent out. So again, if Valdosta, and again, there's a strong possibility that Valdosta will go from winning it all last year to not making the playoffs at all this year. So then again, the Valdosta loser to the Houston County Valdosta game will see their season come to an end. And moving on to GHSA Region 14A now. And America Sumter, and undefeated in GHSA Region 14A, has clinched its first ever region championship. And in America, and back in prior to 2004, And America's Sumter High School out of Americus, Georgia, they were both, that one school was two separate high schools. Got America's High School, the school that served students within the city limits of Americus, Georgia, located some 40 miles north of Albany, 50 plus miles southeast of Columbus. And as well as Sumter County High School, there are the Rams. And that school started playing football around 1982, and then stopped playing in 2003, because by the summer of 2004, the two schools were already merged with each other. And in any case, America's Sumter, thanks to their 33-9 win over Columbus High School last week, and the Panthers won their first ever region championship since those two schools became one. And the Panthers are also riding a 6-game winning streak since starting the season at 1-2 overall. And so America's Sumter region champion in 1-4A, and they'll be the number 1 seed. And moving on, got the Cairo Syrup Makers, thanks to pulling off probably the biggest comeback, was said to be the biggest comeback in that program's history, coming back from a 24-point deficit early in the third quarter to down north side of Columbus, 35-31. The Cairo Syrup Makers at 5-1 in region play, 6-3 overall, have locked up the number 2 seed in a first round home game. And now we get down to the nitty gritty, the number 3, which teams will be the number 3 and number 4 seeds. In north side of Columbus at 4-2 in the region, 7-2 overall, with both losses coming to second place Cairo, as well as first place America's Sumter, will sell for the number 3 seed. And north side of Columbus will travel to Albany to face Westover in a battle of the Patriots. And I mentioned earlier, there's a battle of the Trojans just up the road in Leesburg, Georgia. And it's Lee County hosting Coffee to decide the Region 1-6A title. And north side of Columbus, and the battle of the Patriots between north side of Columbus and Westover of Albany could potentially decide whether or not Westover goes to the playoffs. More on that momentarily. But north side of Columbus will be the number 3 seed in Region 1-4A, and will hit the road the following week, the week of Friday, November 10th, win or lose at Hugh Mills Stadium this Friday, which will be November 3rd. And this is a very special edition, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, November 1st, 2017, very special edition of the High School Football RoundUp podcast, which is normally airs recorded live on Tuesday nights. But recording it right now on a Wednesday night. And moving right along, so again, America's Sumter will be the number 1 seed as the region champion, and Cairo will be the region runner-up at the number 2 seed, Northside Columbus number 3. And now, and it's getting down to the number 4 seed, which teams will join Northside Columbus, Cairo, and which teams will join America's Sumter, Cairo, Northside of Columbus in the playoffs. And right now, and the way things are looking, and Carver, Columbus, and whose Tigers sit at 3-6 overall, but 3-3, as in 3 wins and 3 losses in GHSA Region 1-4A play, has the inside track on the number 4 seed, and Carver can clinch the 4th and final playoff berth if they pull off the upset at America's Sumter, or if Cairo defeats Columbus, as in Columbus High. and Westover Patriots from Albany, and host the other Patriots, the ones from Columbus. And Westover, believe it or not, there is a way that Westover can make the playoffs, but obviously multiple things need to happen for Westover to get in. And number one, of course, Westover has to knock off Northside Columbus, and remember, Northside Columbus is already locked into the number 3 seed, so Northside's really has nothing to play for at this point. And Westover not only would have to knock off Northside Columbus, Carver would have to lose to Americus Sumter up in Americus. And also, Columbus would have to knock off Cairo. And Cairo's basically in the same position as Northside Columbus. And then having already clinched their playoff seed, locked into that seed, and with nothing to play for, but to just tune up for that opening round playoff game next week. And so basics. But getting down to the basics for Westover, if the Patriots are to advance to the playoffs, obviously Westover has to knock off Northside Columbus in the Battle of the Patriots. Carver would have to lose at American Sumter. And also Columbus would have to pull off the upset over Cairo. And last but certainly not least, Shaw would have to knock off Hardaway, and Shaw winless at 0-6 in the region and 1-8 overall. And obviously they're mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. And Carver Columbus is 3-6 in the region. Make that 3-3 in the region, 3-6 overall. And then got Westover, Hardaway, and Columbus all sitting at 2-4 in the region. Westover's 4-5 overall, while both Columbus High and Hardaway High both sit at 3-6 overall. So again, for Westover Westover's to get into the playoffs, which would be their first postseason appearance since 2014. Again, several things would need to happen. Of course, Westover would have to upset Northside of Columbus to finish region play at 3-4. And then Carver Columbus, that is, would have to lose at American Sumter, and that would drop Carver to 3-4 in the region. And then also Columbus would have to pull off the upset at Cairo against Cairo. Columbus would have to pull off the upset against Cairo. Columbus would have to pull off the upset against Cairo, which is very possible. And Columbus would finish 3-4 in the region. And last but certainly not least, Hardaway would need to lose to Shaw, which would drop Hardaway to 2-5. And keep in mind, all of 4 of Westover's region losses. So all 4 of Westover's losses in region play. All 4 of Westover's losses in region play came to American Sumter 21-0, Carver Columbus 20-0, Hardaway 28-6, and Cairo 39-6. You see, and then Carver Columbus allowed 20, and Westover allowed 20 points in the 20-0 loss to Carver Columbus, and then Westover also gave up 28 points and losing by 22 to Hardaway. Score was 28-6 back on September 29th of this season. So thinking, say Carver loses, Columbus loses to go to 3-4. Westover knocks off north side of Columbus to go 3-4 in the region. Columbus upsets Cairo to go to 3-4. And finally, Hardaway knocks off Shaw. Finally, Shaw knocks off Hardaway. You drop Hardaway to 2-5 in the region. So there will be a three-way tie between Columbus High, and Westover of Albany. So I'm thinking, it will come down to points allowed in a three-way tie in the head-to-head. So Westover already lost to Carver, but beat Columbus and think Columbus High crushed Carver Columbus, and thinking in that scenario, and Westover would win the tiebreaker over Columbus High, and then Columbus High would win the tiebreaker over Columbus. So in that situation, and then with Hardaway, and should Hardaway lose to Shaw, and that would and Hardaway would finish region play at 2-5. So in a three-way tie between Carver, Columbus High School, and Westover High School here in Albany. Westover would win the tiebreaker, and that would mean Westover going to the playoffs as the number 4 seed out of Region 1-4A. But again, if Westover were to lose the north side of Columbus, that would be a moot point. And while Westover would need a win plus a lot of help to make the playoffs, the other two GHSA teams here in Albany are already guaranteed a playoff berth. And the Crisp County Cougars sitting at 7-1 overall, with their only loss so far coming to Brooks County, is already in the playoffs. And the Crisp County Cougars out of Cordele, Georgia, undefeated in region play at 3-0 and 7-1 overall. And they've clinched the region title there. And then you got the Monroe Tornadoes, who are sitting at 3-5 overall, and traveling to Adel, Georgia, to take on the Cook Hornets. And the Cook is 4-5 overall, also at 2-1 in GHSA Region 1 AAA. GHSA Region 1 AAA. And the winner of that game, the winner of the Monroe Cook game, will not only advance to the playoffs, and the winner of the Monroe Cook game not only goes to the playoffs, they'll also get the number 2 seed. The winner of the Monroe Cook game not only goes to, both Monroe and Cook were in the playoffs. And the difference is the winner of the Monroe Cook game down in Adel, Georgia, will finish in second place in the region at 3-1 and will host the first round playoff game. And while the loser will settle for the number 3 seed, will have to hit the road. And the third and fourth seeds, and again, the loser of the Monroe Cook game this Friday at Cook will get the number 3 seed and will have to go on the road for round 1 of the GHSA playoffs, and the Darty Trojans from Albany, despite finishing the regular season at 2-8 overall and 1-3 in GHSA Region 1 AAA, will advance to the playoffs as the number 4 seed. That's 2 years in a row. And Darty's gone to the playoffs as no worse than the number 4 seed. And Crystal County cruised to a convincing 44-6 win over Darty last week up in Cordele at the Cougar Den. And the Worth County Rams winless at 0-3 in region play and 0-9 overall, and they're out of playoff contention at this point. And see, in another region with at least one or more teams, one more region to look at with teams with teams. Let's try it again. One more look at a region that has one or more teams in Darty and surrounding counties, and that's GHSA Region 1 Single A or 1A, even 1A. And you see in the game, and see like the game that fans in that league have been waiting for all season will finally take place this Friday night down in Camilla, Georgia, as the Mitchell County Eagles play host to the Pelham Hornets. And Pelham's the defending GHSA Region 1 Single A champion. And both teams are undefeated in region play at 8-0 and 8-1 overall. Both teams have won 8 straight games since losing their openers in Mitchell County. Fell in their opener to Darty way back on Saturday, August 26th, while the little over a week before that, on Friday, August 18th, Pelham fell to Westover in a high-scoring game, 35-28. Pelham fell to Westover, and both teams have been red hot since then. Both teams have been red hot since then. And the Patriots, the Hornets, I should say, have won 8 straight games, and including a narrow 26-18 win over Seminole County last week. And the Eagles, on the other hand, have been just as impressive, losing a heartbreaker at home to Darty, 18-14, and then won 8 in a row. And all 8 of Mitchell County's wins have come by double digits. And just getting down to the simplicity of that game, the winner of the Region 1 Single A, the winner of the Pelham Mitchell County game this week at Centennial Stadium in Camilla, will get the Region 1 Single A title and also get an automatic first round bye. And then looking at the power ratings, and loser of the Pelham Mitchell County contest will probably host the first round game. And the most recent power ratings for Class Single A Public, and a quick reminder on those, and a quick reminder on that. And Pelham is coming in the most recent power rankings, and Pelham comes in at number 11, and Mitchell County's 13th. And position the number 9 through 16 seeds will host first round games. And Chattahoochee County was 14th in the last power ranking, and then Chattahoochee County will probably host a first round game. And Miller County at number 21 in the number 21 position is looking at a first round game on the road. And Seminole County's at 26, and then only the top 24 teams advance in Class Single A public schools, as well as in the Class Single A private school division. And since there are no Single A teams here from Southwest Georgia in the private school division, I'm not going to mention those teams. And Terrell County sitting in the 27th position. And actually, they were tied for 27th in the power rankings. And they got about 50 teams competing in the public school subdivision in Class Single A. And Terrell County obviously needs to win their regular season finale and hope for a lot of help just to get into the playoffs, as the no worse being finishing in no worse than the 24th position. A lot of help. And then you got Baconton Charter, Calhoun, Baconton Charter number 35, Ronald County at 37, Calhoun County 42, number 42, Seward County, that last at number 50. Those teams are basically out of it. And the time is now 8:02 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on 8:02 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. And this is the High School Football Roundup podcast live on the Southwest Georgia Network, Twitter feed, and YouTube channel. And with your host, Walter Johnson. And I'll be back after this brief pause. And we're back with the High School Football Roundup podcast live on the Southwest Georgia Network, Twitter feed, and YouTube channel with your host, Walter Johnson. In the first half of this live broadcast, I talked about the playoff scenarios involving teams and for the GHSA playoffs involving teams in the city of Albany and Dougherty County and other neighboring or surrounding counties in Southwest Georgia. And how about the second half of the program here? About an hour. Also, a brief outlook on GISA playoffs in the second round of the playoffs there. So, and going to move right along. So, how about GHSA and elsewhere around South Georgia? And looking at GHSA Region 17A, Region 17A, and the situation there, and then the Lowndes Vikings, thanks to a dramatic double overtime win, 51-45 over the Colquitt County Packers, and are the region champions in 17A for 2017. And Lowndes High of Valdosta, 51-45. You know, a lot of scoring there. And Lowndes finishes the regular season undefeated at 10-0, and finished region play also undefeated at 3-0. So that's just amazing stuff. And in all three region games, Lowndes scored at least 51 points in those three region contests, and in all but a couple of games, Lowndes has scored at least 50 or more points. So Lowndes has been piling up the points all year, and so Lowndes has had an amazing season so far. And Lowndes is your region champion, and Michael Barrett, the quarterback for Lowndes, completed 9 out of 13 passes for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also rushed 8 times for 141 yards, scored 2 touchdowns. And with the quarterback and Michael Barrett, I mean, you talk about a quarterback can only is only dangerous with his arm and hands, but also dangerous with his legs and feet. And for the season, Barrett is 74 out of 114 for over 13 yards and 12 touchdowns with only 1 interception. And also rushed for 770 yards, 11 touchdowns on 84 carries, and the average is just over 9 yards a carry. And Barrett has offers from Georgia Tech, Michigan, Michigan State, and Tennessee. And and just amazing so far. And now just looking at the situation in Region 1 7A and Lowndes. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, already clinched the region title, 3-0 in the region, 10 overall. Also finishing the regular season undefeated. So Lowndes will have their bye this week and waiting and preparing for whomever they'll face in the opening round of the Class 7A playoffs next week. And then Tift County right now sitting in second place at 1-1 in the region, 8-1 overall. And the Blue Devils gave Lowndes all they could handle before losing 51-38. But just 2 weeks ago on Friday, October 20th, and thanks to the foot of Fernando Ramirez, the Blue Devils knocked off the Colquitt County Packers 38-35, and the Blue Devils had their bye week last week and getting ready to face Camden County. And Colquitt County finished region play at 1-2 and 7-3 overall. Back-to-back tough losses for the Packers, not only losing in the final seconds at home to Tift County on the 20th, and then last week losing yet another heartbreaker in double overtime to Lowndes. It's 51-45, and that leaves Camden County winless in 2 region contests so far at 0-2 and 3-6 overall. And Camden County and Tift County are in Tifton, Georgia. And it's that simple, really. A Tift County win over Camden County would give the Blue Devils the number 2 seed in GHSA Region 17A, right behind Lowndes, and Colquitt County will be the number 3 seed. But if Camden County were to pull off the upset as the visiting team over Tift County, that would create a 3-way tie for second place. in Region 1-7A, in the Camden, Colquitt, and Tift will all finish Region 1-7A action at 1 and 2, all below 500, and that would mean, and that would also mean and there will be a whole lot of tiebreakers that need to be sorted out. A whole lot of tiebreakers that need to be sorted out as far as who would get that at-large berth in Class 7A. And seeing the Georgia High School Football in the Wednesday edition of the Georgia High School Football Daily Newsletter at GHSFdaily.com. That's GHSFdaily.com. And you see and you have at least 9 teams that have at least a 1% chance of earning the at-large bid. And according to the Georgia High School Football Daily Newsletter, and Marietta would have the best chance at getting it. You see Marietta High School out of Marietta, Georgia. That's Cobb County in the Metro Atlanta area. And keep in mind, with just 4 teams in GHSA Region 1-7A, only the top 3 teams, only the teams that finish first, second, and third will be guaranteed a postseason berth. And Marietta out of Region 3-7A has a 29.5% chance of winning that at-large bid, followed by North Cobb and 21.8%. Hillgrove, another Cobb County area school. Northwest Atlanta, 20.3%. North Paulding, 16%. And then the percentages drop off tremendously past North Paulding, below North Paulding. Last year, 3.1%. Central Gwinnett at 2.6%. Tift County, amazingly, despite that one loss, at just 1.7%. Woodstock at 1.3%. And Camden County, just 1%. And Marietta, sitting at 6-3 overall. So, in Marietta, for the record, sitting at 6-3 overall, and 2-2 in GHSA Region 3-7A, and that's seeing Region 1-7A with a 14 group is the only non-Metro Atlanta region in Class 7A, which of course is the state's highest classification. And then all the other teams, the teams in the other regions, 2 through 8, and all from the Metro Atlanta area, and spread out around the I-285 perimeter to the north, east, and south of Atlanta, around the north, east, and west of I-285, and there are no Class 7A teams south of Atlanta, and at least as far as I know, and that's not the case. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in 7A. And how about moving on to Region 1-5A? And really not much in Region 1-5A, and Warner Robins and Bainbridge both tied for first place in the region at 3-0, undefeated. And with the Bainbridge Bearcats sitting at 7-2 overall, Warner Robins undefeated at 9-0 overall, and Bainbridge will make the long trip up into Middle Georgia to take on the Demons with the Region 1-5A title at stake. I mean, should be a good one over at McCall Talbot Stadium up in Warner Robins this Friday night. So, and just that simple, winner of that game wins the Region 1-5A championship, and the loser will settle for second place. And Damian Pierce rushed for 226 yards and 4 touchdowns on 15 carries as the Bearcats crushed Thomas County Central in their last contest. And that was back on, that was just a couple of weeks ago on October 20th. And Bainbridge cruised to a 40-13 win at home over Harris County, which guarantees the Bearcats no worse than second place and also a first round home game. And for the season so far, and David Pierce has rushed for over 1,500 yards and 25 touchdowns on 151 carries. He missed only one game with an injury so far. And Pierce has rushed for almost 6,200 yards and 85 touchdowns in his career. And Pierce is already committed to the University of Florida. And of course, I mean, for those people that haven't been following the college football of all the coaching change, for those people that have been keep up with college football regularly, of course, and Jim McElwain, and was let go last week, was fired as the Gators head coach, and looks like and former Miami head coach Randy Shannon will take over for the rest of the season, and as the Gators try to become bowl eligible, will be anything. It'll be interesting to see where Florida goes, but the Bainbridge and the Bainbridge Bearcats and Damian Pierce, running back, will try to go into the mid-state and come back home to Southwest Georgia on top. So again, Bainbridge Warner Robins game, winner of that game goes to the playoffs. I mean, both teams are already in the playoffs. The winner of the Bainbridge Warner Robins game will be the region champion, Region 1-5A champion, and the loser will be the runner-up, the second place team. And then the de facto third place game in GHSA Region 1-5A. And got the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets playing host to the Harris County Tigers from out of Hamilton, Georgia, sandwiched right in between Columbus and LaGrange in West Central Georgia along Interstate 185 or I-185. Harris County comes in at 4-5 overall, and Thomas County Central at 3-6 overall. And the Yellow Jackets have had a week off to prepare for Harris County after being crushed at Bainbridge 63-14. So both teams are already locked into their playoff positions. And the winner of the Thomas County Central, both teams are tied for third at 1-2 in the region in 1-5A. And the winner of the Harris County Thomas County Central game will be the number 3 seed, and the loser will be the 4 seed. And either way, both teams will hit the road for the first round of the playoffs a week from this coming Friday, which would be November 10th, and Veterans Day would be the following day on November 11th. And speaking of Veterans Day, how about the Veterans Warhawks? And veteran season ended last week with a loss to Warner Robins and the Warhawks out of Kathleen, Georgia, and Houston County. And in the mid-state, the Bears finished the 2017 season winless in Region 1-5A action at 0-4 and 2-8 overall. So Veterans is done. Warhawk season's over. And let's move on to Region 1AA and the Thomasville Bulldogs, 9-0 for the first time since their state championship season in 1988, and the Bulldogs rallied from a 20-0 halftime deficit to beat Brooks County on the road in Quitman, Georgia. 23-20 was the final score. Thomasville getting the win, and probably one of the greatest comebacks in that program's history. And then it's been an amazing season for Thomasville under second-year head coach Zach Grades, and Thomasville sitting at 9-0 overall, all 3-0 in Region 1AA, sitting all alone in first place. Brooks County and Fitzgerald 2-1, and both 2-1 in region, with the Trojans from Quitman, Georgia, sitting at 7-1 overall, and the Purple Hurricanes at 4-5 overall. And Thomasville plays host to Fitzgerald this week, I should say, on Friday, November the 3rd. And so even with that dramatic win, I mean, in the Thomasville's clinched the playoff berth, but they've not yet clinched the region championship. And reason for that is they still need to beat, and the Bulldogs still need to beat Fitzgerald. And all Thomasville has to do is beat Fitzgerald, and they'll be the GHSA Region 1AA champions for 2017. Also get the number 1 seed out of GHSA Region 1AA, and that would be an amazing feat. First undefeated regular season for Thomasville in nearly 3 decades. Should Thomasville beat Fitzgerald, but on the other hand, should Fitzgerald pull off the upset down at Thomasville, and Brooks defeats Berrien, and looking at a potential three-way tie for first place in GHSA Region and a 1AA to close out the regular season, and which will also lead to having a multiple tiebreakers, and then could possibly come down to points allowed. And right now, and then also, Brooks County will be on the road at Berrien. That game will be played in Nashville, Georgia, this Friday. And Berrien sits at 1-2 in GHSA Region 1AA, 4-5 overall. In Berrien, Berrien clinched the playoff berth with Early County being shut out at Fitzgerald 44-0 last week. And Berrien Berrien could possibly say if Berrien could possibly create a three-way tie, and the other way, say Thomasville defeats Fitzgerald and Berrien knocks off Brooks County, and there could be a three-way tie, and Thomasville would go into the playoffs as an undefeated region champion at 4-0 in league play, 10-0 overall. And then that would also mean Berrien County, Brooks County, and Berrien, Brooks, and Fitzgerald would end up in a three-way tie for second place in the region. So, and then, a lot of things to sort out there. And then the team out would be the Early County Bobcats out of Blakely, Georgia, right along the Alabama border. And the Bobcats were mathematically eliminated from playoff contention after being shut out at Fitzgerald 44-0 in Early County. Finished Region 1AA play winless at 0-4, and they're 2-7 overall with their final home game against Dothan, Alabama. The final game of the 2017 season has Early County playing host to Dothan, Alabama, and there was a replacement game for Early County with the sudden departure of Albany High School here in Albany, Georgia, back in June. And then how about a quick look at GHSA Region 2 Single A in Irwin County out of Ocilla, Georgia, wrapped up the Region 2 Single A crown with a 53-13 rout at Atkinson County last week. That game was played in Pearson, Georgia last Friday. 53-13 blowout. And that leaves Irwin County still undefeated in Region 2 Single A at 6-0, 8-1 overall. Irwin County's only loss came to Fitzgerald. That was back on August 25th, second week of the season. And Irwin County beat Clinch County 21-7 back in September, on September 15th, in Ocilla, Georgia. And so Irwin County owns the tiebreaker over Clinch County. So that basically means Irwin County will be the region champ, in Clinch County out of Homer, Clinch County Panthers out of Homerville, Georgia, in the southeast corner of the state near Okanokie, not too far from the Okefenokee Swamp, sitting at 5-1 in region, 7-2 overall. And so it'll be so Clinch County wrapping up the regular season at Telfair County. So Clinch is looking, and Clinch County locked up the number 2 seed. Clinch County locked up the number 2 seed in or locked up second place in 2 Single A. And again, A with a 37-14 rout over Charlton County. So that would mean Charlton County with Charlton County and Turner County tied for second place in Charlton County. Charlton and Turner are both 4-2 in 2 Single A action. There's some region play. And you see, and having some technical difficulties here. And you see, in Turner County travels to Irwin County to close out the regular season. And Turner County can make a case for finishing in the top 24 and advance into the playoffs with a victory. Over Irwin County. So Turner County still has a lot on the line. Traveling to and playing against Irwin County in a battle of arch rivals on the road. You still there? And apologize for the technical difficulties. All right, so going back to the. All right, you see, here we go. And the Turner County will wrap up the regular season at Irwin County, and Turner County still has a shot at getting the playoffs and improving their situation if they knock off Irwin County, and that would give Turner County a 7-3 overall record to finish the regular season, as well as at 5-2 in GHSA Region 2 Single A. So I mean, in Turner County is 6-3 overall so far, and their first-year head coach Leroy Hood, who replaced Ben Simmons at Worth County and during the offseason. And Turner County lost at Crisp County, shut out 27-0. Also fell to Charlton County, 35-14 on September 22nd, which means that Charlton County owns any tiebreaker. Charlton County will own any tiebreaker over Turner County, and then also got crushed at Clinch County on Friday the 13th, Friday, October 13th, 42-7. But remember, this is Class Single A public schools, and the 24 playoff positions that are decided by power rankings or power ratings, as opposed to which teams finish in the top 4 in each region. So that Turner County Irwin County game over in Ocilla, Georgia, this Friday night will be very interesting. It'll be in Irwin County, not only trying to finish region play undefeated and boost their case to be one of the top 8 seeds and get a first round bye. It's in the region, and the region champions are already guaranteed a first round bye. And teams that finish in the number 9 to number 16 position, the 9th to 16th positions, and they'll be guaranteed to host in the first round, no first round bye, but they will. And any team ranked finished at 9 to 16 will make the case to host a first round game. So and now we finally get to the playoffs in the GISA, in the Deerfield Windsor Knights picked up the victory at home over Bullock Academy at Webb Stadium here in Albany. Final score, and the final score is 40-10, and Deerfield Windsor, easy winner over Brookwood. I mean, maybe not Brookwood. I meant Bullock Academy. So I meant Bullock Academy. So and Deerfield advances to the second round of the state playoffs. And so Deerfield Windsor moves on to the second round of the state playoffs after pummeling Bullock 40-10, and then Deerfield Windsor goes to Gatewood this week, and also victories by Valwood over Edmund Burke, and then Southland Academy picked up the win. Southland Academy and rolled past Trinity Christian of Dublin. All right, here we go. And see, right here we go. And see, Deerfield Windsor won 40-10 over Bullock Academy. 40-10 over Bullock Academy last week in the first round of the playoffs, and then move on to round 2 or the quarterfinal round. Can also be called the Elite Eight. And the Knights will travel up into Eatonton, Georgia, spelled Eatonton, Eatonton, Georgia, north of Milledgeville, to take on Gatewood. And Gatewood advanced to the second round for the 50-0 rout over Loganville Christian. And Gatewood was the same team that ended Deerfield Windsor's season, the semifinal round of the state playoffs last year. And the Knights will be looking to make history, or at least extend it. And with a win over Gatewood, and Gatewood's been rolling all over the competition so far this year. 11-0 on the year. And so Deerfield Windsor at Gatewood Friday night up in Eatonton, Georgia. And also the Valwood Valiants crushed Edmundburg 49-7. And that win puts the Valiants in the second round, taking on John Millage Academy. And John Millage and will be in the John Millage Academy out of Thomasville, make that Milledgeville, Georgia, some 30 miles northeast of Macon and roughly 90, close to 100 miles southeast of Atlanta. And John Millage advanced to the second round by knocking off Bethlehem Christian Academy in a shutout 27-0. And John Millage will make the long trip down to just outside of Valdosta to take on Valwood. So I think Valwood Valwood's considered Valwood's located in Valdosta, Georgia. So Valwood hosting John Millage, and also the number 3 seeded Golden Raiders out of Southland Academy out of Americus, Georgia, advancing to round 2 or the quarterfinal round with a 35-24 win over Trinity Christian on the road in Dublin, Georgia. And Southland Academy, now 10-1 on the season, will hit the road again to face the other Trinity Christian in GISA, going to Sharpsburg, Georgia, to take on that Trinity Christian. And Southland defeated Trinity Christian of Dublin up in Dublin, Georgia, 35-24. The final score. And Southland's only loss so far came at Webb Stadium on the campus of Deerfield Windsor to Deerfield Windsor. And a hard-fought 20-17 victory for the Knights on September 29th. And as mentioned earlier, Deerfield will be on the road against Gatewood. And Gatewood's 11-0. But of course, once you get to the playoffs, and it doesn't matter if it's a GHSA or GISA, once you get this deep in the playoffs, you just throw out the records at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from there. And Tift Area Academy, and just north of Tifton, Georgia, and Chula, Georgia. And the Panthers saw their season come to an end after losing at Frederica Academy 49-36. And Tift Area finishes the 2017 season at 6-5 overall, and Deerfield Windsor 7-4 overall with that victory over Bullock Academy. And Valwood sitting at 7-3 on this year during the regular season. And you see in Southland, Deerfield, Southland, and Valwood all finished in a tie for first place. And then based on the tiebreakers, Valwood won the number 1 seed out at GISA Region 3 AAA. Deerfield Windsor is the 2 seed. Southland was the 3 seed in Tift Area. Came as the 4 seed, and Tift Area's season's over after losing at Frederica Academy off St. Simon's Island on the Georgia coast. And one more in the other region, other playoff bracket in the GISA is Class AA. Southwest Georgia Academy had a first round bye as the GISA Region 3 AA champion. Just 3 teams in that league. And the Warriors of Southwest Georgia Academy, better known as SGA, finished region play. There's Region 3 AA at 2-0, undefeated, and 7-2 overall. and the Terrell Academy Eagles, and not too far from Albany, 20 plus miles, 22 miles or so out of Dawson, Georgia. Finished GISA Region 3 AA action with 1 win and 1 loss, and 5-5 during the regular season, and then 6-5 overall. And the reason for that is Terrell Academy. And Terrell Academy was scheduled to open the Class AA playoffs at home against First Presbyterian Christian, and First Presbyterian Christian out of Hinesville, Georgia, in Liberty County, and just south of Savannah, near Fort Stewart, and also along the Georgia coast. And First Presbyterian Christian finished their season winless at 0-9 overall, and First Presbyterian Christian had to forfeit their game due to not having enough healthy players. And Terrell Academy will move on to the second round, and they'll face Briarwood Academy. And Briarwood Academy is located in Warrenton, Georgia, just about an hour or so west of Augusta, along I-20. And Briarwood coming in at 9-1 overall. And Westwood and got the Westwood Wildcats south of Albany and Camilla, Georgia. And Westwood's season came to an end after being shut out in Savannah by Memorial Day, 46-0, the final score there. So on that note, that's going to end this edition of the Georgia High School. What am I saying? That's going to end this edition of the High School Football Roundup podcast for this special edition for Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. And remember to follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter at SWJ Network, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And just click on the link below there. Just click on that link once you get to the Twitter feed. And again, follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter at SWGA Network. And also, I'm looking to start the high school basketball soon. And probably most likely around Thanksgiving week. I also cover some of the local and area college teams, basketball teams, Albany State, Albany Tech, and maybe Georgia Southwestern State University. And Albany Tech's basketball season started tonight in men's or women's. And Albany Tech also had their homecoming week. And again, remember to follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter at SWGA Network. And 3,223 followers so far there. And also, listen to previous podcasts, High School Football Roundup podcasts, as well as the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show, which starts shortly after midnight on these same stations of the Southwest Georgia Network. And again, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. And again, that's going to do it for this edition of the High School Football Roundup podcast. And hope to do this again soon. And this has been your host, Walter Johnson, saying thank you for listening. Have a good night. Stay safe out there.